Help me hit 7,000 subscribers, support the video with a like and share your thoughts in the comments. I read every one, thank you. I never thought one sentence, spoken in frustration, could erase 13 years of marriage. But that's what happened. My name is Alara Moore, and this is the story of how my husband disappeared after overhearing the most terrifying thing I ever said. I married Rowan when I was 28. He wasn't flashy or loud, but he was steady in a way that made life feel manageable. He remembered appointments, fixed things before they broke, and listened without interrupting. For a long time that steadiness felt like love. We built routines, shared calendars, inside jokes. From the outside we looked solid. But somewhere along the way I started feeling invisible. Not mistreated. Not abused. Just unseen. Rowan worked longer hours. I handled more of the emotional load. Conversations turned into logistics. When I tried to explain how lonely I felt, he'd nod, say, "I hear you," and then nothing changed. I told myself this was marriage. This was adulthood. Still, something inside me hardened. If you've ever felt that slow resentment build, tap the like button so this story can reach people who might need to hear it too. The night everything ended wasn't dramatic. No shouting. No slammed doors. Rowan was asleep upstairs. I was in the kitchen on the phone with my sister, Maeve. I thought I was alone. I thought my words were safe. I said, quietly but clearly, "Sometimes I wonder what my life would be like if Rowan just vanished. Not dead. Just gone. Like I could finally breathe again." There was a pause on the line. Maeve asked if I was okay. I laughed it off, said I was just tired. What I didn't know was that Rowan had woken up for water and stopped at the top of the stairs. He heard every word. At the time, those words felt like a release. I wasn't planning anything. I wasn't wishing him harm. I was expressing exhaustion. But intent doesn't matter when impact lands first. When Rowan didn't come to bed that night, I assumed he'd fallen asleep on the couch. The next morning, his side of the closet was empty. His toothbrush was gone. So was his watch, the one his father gave him. On the counter was his phone, powered off, and a single note. "I heard you. I won't make you feel trapped anymore. If you were in my place, what would you have done after reading that? Tell me in the comments." I tried calling, texting. I contacted his brother, his closest friend, even his office. No one had heard from him. Days passed. Then weeks. Rowan didn't file for divorce. He didn't ask for space. He erased himself. Guilt settled into my chest like a weight. I replayed that sentence over and over, wishing I could pull it back. If you're listening right now and you've ever said something you can't unsay, type the word regret in the comments. I want to know I'm not alone. I started therapy. I learned that resentment spoken in private can be louder than anger shouted aloud. I wrote letters I never sent. I apologized to an empty house. Friends told me he'd come back eventually. They were wrong. 3 months later, a small box arrived. Inside was my wedding ring, wrapped carefully in paper. No note this time. Just the quiet confirmation that he was gone. At that moment, I understood something painful. Love doesn't always end with betrayal or cruelty. Sometimes it ends because someone overhears the truth before you're ready to face it yourself. If this story stirred something in you, consider sharing it with someone who might be carrying unspoken words of their own. Stories like this travel best through empathy. I don't know where Rowan is now. I hope he's at peace. As for me, I'm learning to live with the consequences of honesty delivered too late in life. Before you leave, do you think some thoughts should never be spoken out loud? Or is silence more dangerous? Let's discuss in the comments. And finally, if this story made you pause, like the video, share your perspective below, and subscribe for more real stories about love, loss, and change. People ask me if I hate him now. I don't. Hate would be easier. Hate would mean there's still heat left in the ashes. What I feel instead is a quiet understanding that words can wound deeper than actions, because actions can be explained, but words live on loop inside someone's head. In the weeks after Rowan left, I learned how much of our marriage existed in the small, unnoticed spaces. The way he always locked the door twice. The way he lined up his shoes. The hum he made when concentrating. None of it mattered until it was gone, and then all of it mattered at once. Therapy forced me to confront an uncomfortable truth. I didn't want Rowan gone. I wanted the version of myself I was before I felt invisible. But I chose the wrong language. I framed my pain as his absence instead of my loneliness. And when he heard it, he didn't hear exhaustion. He heard relief at the idea of a life without him. People online love clean villains and clear heroes. Real relationships aren't built that way. Rowan wasn't cruel. I wasn't heartless. We were two people speaking different emotional languages, assuming the other understood the dialect. By the time we realized we were miscommunicating, the damage had already been done. 6 months after he disappeared, I stopped waiting for the sound of his car. I donated his clothes with shaking hands. I kept the mug he liked because throwing it away felt like erasing proof that we had once been real. Healing, I learned, isn't about forgetting. It's about carrying memory without letting it crush you. Sometimes I imagine running into him at a grocery store or an airport. I imagine apologizing properly, without excuses or metaphors. I imagine him telling me he heard more than one sentence, that he'd been hurting too. But imagination is a dangerous place to live permanently. Can keep you frozen between what was and what will never be. If there's anything I want someone listening to take from this, it's this. Be careful with the stories you tell about your life when you think no one is listening. Especially the ones spoken in exhaustion. Especially the ones meant to vent. Because you don't get to decide which sentence becomes the one someone carries forever. Rowan leaving taught me accountability without confrontation. There was no argument to defend myself in. No final speech. Just consequences arriving quietly. One empty room at a time. That kind of lesson stays with you. I still believe in love. I still believe in partnership. But I no longer believe that silence is harmless or that private words are weightless. Some sentences don't just express pain. They transfer it. And if I could speak to Rowan now, I wouldn't beg him to come back. Simply say this. I was tired, not free. I was lonely, not relieved. And I am sorry you learned that too late to matter. Time has a way of sanding down sharp memories, but it never removes their outline. I still measure conversations now. I pause before speaking, not from fear, but from respect for how fragile connection can be. What happened with Rowan rewired me. It taught me that intimacy isn't only about sharing thoughts, but about choosing which thoughts deserve air. Some nights I sit with the truth that both of us were right in different ways. He deserved to feel wanted. I deserved to feel heard. Neither of us knew how to ask without causing harm. That gap, left unattended, grew teeth. If this story sounds quiet, that's because most endings are. They don't explode. They dissolve. And years later, you're left holding the residue, wondering how something so small could undo something so big. I move forward now with intention. I speak with care. I listen harder. And I remember that love doesn't vanish in a moment. It fades sentence by sentence, until one finally finishes the job. That is the cost of careless honesty, and the reason I choose my words now like they might be the last bridge between two hearts. Some bridges never rebuild once they collapse completely forever.